Hi, in this video we'll be looking at how to use the MIT, that's the Massachusetts Institute of Technology App Inventor, a platform for creating your own mobile apps so that you can create an Android app. Unfortunately, they don't have an iPhone app as yet. So you need to go to MIT App Inventor. So if you just Google MIT App Inventor or go MIT App Inventor, it should take you there. And you just open that up and it takes you to the home page. You'll notice that there are loads of tutorials on that home page, and you can click there to find tutorials on how to create different types of apps. So a little bit later I'll be asking you to do that, to research your own type of app. And you start here. You're going to need to create a user account, and you do that by clicking on Create Apps and then signing up using your Google account. You can use a Gmail account or your school account. As far as I know, the information that is collected is simply what they asked for. So when you sign up, they ask for a certain amount of information. It's your email, your username, your password. MIT says in their privacy policy that they don't pass that information on to anyone else. They just use that information for you to be able to store your projects on their site. So I'm going to click on Create Apps, big orange Create Apps, and it takes me through a sign in with Google. So you can either sign up or sign in once you have an account, and it uses your Google login details and takes you to your project page. You notice here in projects, if you click on projects, you can start a new project. There's also a button here for start a new project. So when you click that, it asks for a project name. Now in tutorial 1 and 2, we're going to be creating a kind of language app project. So our replacement for Duolingo. So I'm just going to call mine language app. Click OK, and you'll notice it adds that to the screen here, and it pops up your interface for designing your app. So I'm going to click on continue here. There is a download, so you can download apps which will allow you to use your phone for creating these apps. And that's now available on Apple, or you can get it on Android phones so that you can reach this interface from your phone. I would suggest you use a computer. It's just way easier. So I'm going to click on Create. And here's an example of the kind of thing that we're going to be doing. We're going to have a picture here. We're going to click on the picture. And when you click on the picture, it's going to say picture. I'm going to add some of that here. And then there'll be a next button for going on to the next screen. So I'm just going to go into projects, my projects, and click on that language app to get a blank project. So when you go start project, you should get a blank screen like this. And you'll notice you can do it for a tablet size as well, or you can do it for a monitor size. I think just keep it to a phone size, maybe a little bit easier to use. So here are your blocks and your items, your objects that you can add to a screen. Here's the interface, which shows you what your screen looks like. Here are your components, for example, of the screen, and here are the properties. So if I click on screen here, when I go to properties on the extreme right, I can change what the screen looks like. So I could go, for example, align horizontal. I could align objects on the screen to the center. So instead of being off to the left, they come onto the center. I could align vertically also, maybe top, center, or from the bottom. I'm going to put center. And I could change the background color to a nice pleasant green, for example. Probably a good idea for each screen that you create to have a different color maybe, so you know what screen you're on. And there are other options available here, but I think I'm going to leave that one at that. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my palette, my user interface, and from my user interface I'm going to choose some objects to drag onto the screen. And the first thing I'm going to drag on is a button. and that's called button 1. And I'm going to go here into the components, and I'm just going to rename that, and I'm going to get a picture of an apple, and I'm going to attach it to the screen. So now that I'm clicked on the apple, I can go and change what the button looks like. Now I'm going to set this up as a button to show you how to set up buttons, because you might want that at some future date. And also, if you're trying to upload pictures, replace the button with a picture. In our school lab, our network doesn't seem to be configured to allow that. I have asked for that to be changed, and you can try uploading a picture. I'll show you how to do that just now, but it might not work. So if it doesn't work, just do it as a button. So when you're doing it as a button, I'm clicked on my Apple button, and I can go and change the background color, make it red. I could make the font bold. I could change the font size, make it bigger. I could change it from serif to sans serif, for example, and I could change the height, and I could do it by pixels, or I could do it by percent. So I think I'm going to type in here 50%. So the height is going to be 50%, and I could make the width also. I could change that maybe to 50%. I could change the shape. I could make it, for example, oval, or I could make it rounded, or anything like that. And where it says text for button 1, I could change that with the word apple, and I could change the text color to white, for example. And if I tick visible or invisible, it becomes either visible or invisible on the screen. Now, obviously, you've got a button here which I can click, and it has to be set up as a button because it's something that is clickable. But I would much prefer to have an image of an apple that I'm using. So where it says image, so I'm clicked on apple here, where it says image under the properties, I can go upload file, choose a file, go to my downloads folder, and search for the image of an apple that I downloaded earlier, and go open, and it says now Apple JPEG. It's going to upload that file, and I click OK, and it'll upload the picture of the apple. I can then go and, for example, if I don't want the text, I could go to where it says text, and I could just delete that. So the word apple disappears there. Make sure you use images which are copyright free. So if you use oldsearch.creativecommons.org, then you can be assured that what you're using, you have permission to use. You have the copyright to use. So I've now got a picture of an image, and it's a button which I can click. Next thing I'm going to add is a label. So I drag the label underneath, and it says text for label, and I'm just going to rename that label for apple, just so that everything is named so I know exactly what it is. And when it comes down to text for label, the properties over here, I'm clicked on label for apple here, I can type what are kind of instructions, if you like. So click on the image to see, or to hear rather, what I am, for example, and I could align that text to the center. So it's saying click on the image to hear what I am. You can make that bigger. You can change the text color, for example, if you want to. I'm just going to keep that quite simple. And then I'm going to need a next button to go onto the next screen, because we're not going to have just one screen. So I could go to add screen and have screen 2. Okay, I'm going to go back onto screen 1. And when I want to design screen 2, I just go to screen 2 over here. Okay, so I'm on screen 1, and now I need a next button. So I drag a button underneath here, and I'm going to call that, so button 1, I'm going to rename it next screen, and it will be taking me to screen 2. So I'm going to call it next screen 2. And under text for button, I'm just going to say next. And obviously I could format that, change the background color of the button, and stuff like that, just to make it look nicer. But basically what I have now is a picture of an apple. If you've still got a button and it wouldn't upload a picture, don't worry about that. I've got a label telling me what to do, to click on the image, to hear the word apple spoken, and I've got a little button saying next. So if you imagine I'm learning a language, when I click on the apple and I'm learning Italian, it's going to say la mela. If I'm learning another language, it's going to tell me what apple is in that language. So I can now go, one thing I need to do, I need a text to speech. So I need it to, when it clicks on apple, it says apple. So I go to media. So I'm now in the media block, and it's got text to speech, and I just drag that onto the screen, and you'll notice it goes to non-visible components. So this is called text to speech 1, and again I can rename it text to speech Apple. And it's always a good idea. Everything to do with Apple has Apple in the name. If it's a next button, it tells you what screen it's going to, and so on. So I've now basically designed my first page. It's got all the elements I need, including that text to speech. So I'm now ready to go and code that. So I go to the top right-hand corner. I'm in the designer view, and I'm going to click on blocks to go into the coding view. And you'll notice I've now got the blocks over here, and I can create them, drag them onto the screen to program the computer to do what I want. So I'm going to start with that image of an apple. I'm going to click on apple, and right at the top it says when apple click. So when you click the apple, something must happen. Well, what must happen? Well, it's going to do the text to speech, isn't it? So you need to go down to that purple one, text to speech, speak. So it's going to call up text to speech apple. It's going to call that text to speech up, and it's going to speak a message. So I just dock that over there. What message? Well, I need to go and get the text for that. So I click under controls, I click on text, and that little one, I drag that across. It's got inverted commas with nothing inside. You type what you want it to say. So I'm going to make mine all in English. So it's going to say the word apple. The next thing I wanted to do, if you go back into Designer, this text, click on image to hear what I am. I need that to print out the word apple so that you can hear it spoken, text to speech, and you can see it on the label. So now I go down to label for apple, and you'll notice it says set label for apple, background color, has margins, height, text too. So I'm going to go and drag that one up. So it's going to change the label. It's going to set the text to, and I want it to have it the same as apple. So I can right click on that first one I created, or I can go into the text control and just get it again and type it again. But it's so much easier just to duplicate it. So when I click on apple, it's going to text to speech. It's going to say apple. And on the label, it's going to change that label to say the words apple. So I might want to change the font size or the background color or something like that, just to make it more noticeable, and just put that there in front of the text. I'm not going to worry about that. The next thing I wanted to do, obviously, is when I click next, it must go to screen 2. So that's something that we'll cover in the next session. So I'll just close on blocks. So when you've created this, I suggest what you do is when you go to projects, just go save your project. So you've now got it saved to your folder, so you can continue working on it next time. But how do you share it with me? One thing I need to say. You'll notice there's show warnings here. there's something wrong with your code, it's going to show up in warnings here. So I've got naught, there are no warnings, so I seem to be good. Okay, it doesn't always mean, it just means you haven't made any horrendous grammatical errors. Of course, it might not do what you want it to do, but this should do what I wanted to do. I did test this code earlier and it did work. Now, how do you share a project? Well, how do you create the project and load it onto your phone? I'll show you that in the next video.